We all know someone who is the protagonist of a lifelong tragedy. Their boss is a nightmare, their ex was a disaster, and the timing? Always, somehow, perfectly wrong. Traffic, the weather, the economy, it's all a personal conspiracy against them. If you point out a solution, they'll explain why it won't work. If you offer help, they'll explain why it's not that simple. And if their luck ever actually changes, don't hold your breath. Something new will be broken by Thursday. It's like they're addicted to the chaos. But if you asked them, they'd say they're just the world's favorite punching bag. This isn't just a personality flaw. It's a psychological survival strategy. Chronic self-pity isn't just complaining, it's an insurance policy. It protects people from the one thing they fear more than being unhappy: being responsible for what happens next. It usually starts with learned helplessness. This describes what happens when your brain goes through a period where your actions genuinely didn't matter. Maybe it was a toxic childhood or a brutal string of failures. The brain learns a lethal lesson: trying is pointless. The real tragedy is that this lesson sticks around long after the situation changes. The cage door opens, but the bird stays put. Even when an opportunity shows up, the person doesn't see it, or they assume it's a trap. This isn't laziness, it's deep-seated conditioning. Layered on top of that is an external locus of control. This is the belief that your life is steered entirely by outside forces, luck, the universe, or just bad karma. You don't feel like the driver. You feel like the person tied to the hood of the car while someone else screams down the highway. When you believe you have zero agency, you narrate your life as a series of accidents. The poor me story isn't an act. It's how the world actually looks from inside that skull. Then, the brain starts filtering evidence to keep the story consistent. This is confirmation bias. The brain notices every red light and every snub, but it skips right over the wins. It's a corrupted operating system running in the background, shaping your reality to fit the narrative of the victim. You get stuck in rumination. Self-pity becomes a closed loop. You think about how bad things are, which makes you feel worse, which makes you think more about the unfairness. It's self-absorbed in the clinical sense, an obsessive inward focus that leaves zero bandwidth for action. You're so busy cataloging the wreckage that you forget to check if the engine still starts. But if it feels this miserable, why stay? Because of the secondary gains. Self-pity is a weirdly powerful currency. It buys you attention, sympathy, and validation without you having to risk anything. You get the comfort of a pity party without the terrifying stakes of actually trying to win. If you're the victim, no one expects anything from you. The bar is on the floor, and there's a strange safety in that. Wallowing is a shield. If you never try, you never fail. If everything is someone else's fault, you're never the one who messed up. It's a permanent alibi. It's safety from the most terrifying prospect imaginable, taking full responsibility and still coming up short. For some, the pain of being a victim is more comfortable than the fear of being an unsuccessful striver. Sometimes, this identity is all someone has left. If I'm not the one with the bad luck, who even am I? Breaking out isn't about positive vibes. It's about a radical shift in the questions you ask yourself. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you force yourself to ask, "What is the smallest thing I can do about this right now?" It's about rebuilding agency. Taking tiny, microscopic actions to prove to your brain that your hands are actually on the wheel. It's about looking at your "yes, but" responses and realizing they are just exit ramps for your fear. The hardest part isn't the effort, it's giving up the protection. Self-pity costs you your entire future, but it pays you in safety from blame. For a lot of people, that's a trade they're willing to make, right up until they realize they've spent their whole life watching from the sidelines, waiting for a rescue that was never coming.